This is News 10 Mornings.
Good morning to you on this Monday. It's January 19th. I'm Kiva Arnold.
And I am Dina Cup in for Dan Elliott, taking this Martin Luther King Jr. Day off. How's it going this morning?
Pretty good, pretty good. Melissa Crowley is also off this morning.
But Rob is back.
That's right. We will have traffic covered. We've got our eyes and ears to everything, so we will have it covered, but she is off today.
Yeah. How was your weekend?
You know, I love this weekend. It was great to have the time off, but the weather, and this is, I'm going to inject my personal opinion on this. This is not my favorite kind of weather.
Right.
It just isn't. Either it's going to be raining in the winter, or if it's not raining, it's okay for it to be sunny every once in a while, but when it's gray and not raining and cold,
gloomy,
what do you do? Right.
So at least we have this. There will be some changes. It's not the changes that I want, and it's not the changes that we need, which would be big storms, lots of rain and snow. I just don't see that in the cards for now. But with that said, you are going to see some drops on your windshield, certainly through your morning commute, because we're looking at some patchy drizzle out there where it's not drizzling. We are looking for a mix of clouds and also some patchy but dense fog. So it is going to be a gray morning all around. The radar has a much easier time picking up on some of the thick clouds and even some of that drizzle over on the Nevada side. But what we're looking at this morning is it's going to be cold, it's going to be gray, it's also going to be a little bit wet because of the drizzle out there, and also the fog is thick in some spots. Getting some reports of some very thick fog in the Stockton area. CHP's had to do some pacing this morning, so heads up in that area. And overall, we're looking at some 40s and 50s, 30s up high today. It's going to be another gray day with some drizzle and some cloud cover. The high 60 degrees. By the end of the week, we are looking for sunny skies and temperatures pushing very close to 70 degrees. Still no big storms on the horizon, but we do have to talk about this warm-up. We could break some records. Although all those details coming up a little bit later on the show. Back to you.
All right, Rob, thank you. We're going to take a look at our traffic now this morning. Melissa's out, but we are keeping things apprised for you on our roadways, and this is our live drive camera. This is our photographer heading out westbound on Interstate 80. It looks like he just went over the Yolo Causeway and maybe now toward the Davis-Dixon area. So again, as Rob mentioned, it is going to be very foggy out there this morning. Give yourself some extra time. Stay a safe distance away from the cars in front of you on the roadways. And if you are a super commuter heading to the Bay Area, we're also seeing reports of some dense fog there. This is just passing Mace there on 80. But dense fog in the Bay Area this morning. So if you are heading over toward the Golden Gate Bridge and the Bay Bridge, keep that in mind. Give yourself some extra time. And we will, of course, be keeping up with your roadways throughout the morning. Kiva, we'll send it over to you.
All right, new overnight, Pope Francis has left the Philippines after a trip that drew a record 6 million people to his mass in Manila. Thousands lined the streets of Manila there as his motorcade came through, taking him to the airport. The Pope provided messages of hope and warnings about poverty and corruption. His week-long trip to Asia began in Sri Lanka and ended in the region's largest population of Catholics.
Now turning to the latest on the AirAsia disaster. 2 more victims of that crash from the AirAsia flight 8501 were recovered early this morning. At the crash site there in the Java Sea, the fuselage of the downed jet and both of its data storage black boxes were recovered this past week. Many of the victims of the December 28th crash are still believed to be there in the sea. Bad weather is a suspected factor in that crash.
Other top stories we're following for you this morning: comedy and controversy as Bill Cosby performs last night in Turlock.
News 10's Suzanne Fawn was there and has thoughts from those who were inside and outside of that show.
It was a big turnout here at the Turlock Community Center as comedian and actor Bill Cosby took to the stage despite sexual abuse allegations. When he performed Saturday night in Denver, about 100 protesters turned out. When he performed here Sunday, only 1 protester turned out, but there were a lot of supporters.
Since I was a kid, I've always enjoyed him as a good comedian.
His personal life is one thing, entertainment life is another.
It concerns me that they are convicting him without a trial.
This whole situation is a testament to how women have been treated in our country, and it goes back so many years, and if you're powerful and you're important, the rules don't apply to you.
News 10 learned that a number of people requested refunds for their tickets, but we did not get an exact number.
Everybody stood up and gave him a standing ovation. They clapped and they were just real happy, and he put on an awesome show.
Most people we talked to say they watched him perform, they laughed, and they would pay to see him perform again. In Turlock, Suzanne Fawn, News 10.
And 4:34 is your time now. A father and a son spent the day hiking, but little did the boy know he would be forced to save his father's life.
And the boy's action certainly got the attention of emergency responders. News 10's Ty Chandler was there as the boy was honored.
The call came into this dispatch center in Rancho Cordova. 11-year-old Jake Pritchard needed help. His father had fallen off a cliff in Blue Ridge Trail, landing on a tree. Now, the two had been hiking and rappelling in that area, but his father, Ryan, badly injured, and it was up to Jake to get help. Now, he tried to call 911 repeatedly, but the call kept dropping. Still, Jake did not give up.
I kept on trying 911, but it didn't work. It kept on saying it doesn't work.
911 emergency, what are you reporting?
My dad fell off a cliff.
What's the location?
Don't know.
But we were able to get some coordinates for the helicopter and kind of pinpoint where he was, and he heard the planes, and I said, are they sounding like they're coming closer to you or farther away?
So proud of him, just grateful and blessed to be alive.
And Ryan Pritchard has a long road ahead to recovery, but he says he does plan to rappel and hike again, and he says he's definitely bringing his son Jake along since he knows he can count on him if he's ever in trouble. Ty Chandler.
Today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a state and federal holiday, and we are now just hours away from what's shaping up to be one of the largest MLK marches in Sacramento.
Thousands and thousands of people expected, and as News 10's Haley Gunther found out, they are doing things a little differently this year. Good morning to you, Haley. How are things going down there in Oak Park?
Good morning, ladies. Well, this year the march is actually starting even earlier, and it will be a mile longer. For the first time, there will be a preliminary leg, and they are calling that the Extra Mile March. For the first leg, it's actually going to start at Oak Park this year, which is a big change, so a lot of you need to listen up. For the general march, though, that is going to begin at the Sacramento City College, so you're going to need to gather in the parking lot for Hughes Stadium. Now, for that first mile stretch, we want you to know it's open to anyone who believes they are encouraging others out there to make a difference.
Our tagline is honoring the past, impacting the future. Really, when we do what we do, when we do the good work every day, we're really honoring the past. When we march, we kind of raise awareness of civil rights and social justice, not about then, but about today, about now.
That general march does take off at 9:30, but definitely try to get there early. If you do want to do the extra mile, you're going to need to register online as soon as possible. Just head to MLK365.org. Things will wrap up at the Sacramento Convention Center, and they are expecting about 28,000 people. Folks in Stockton, if you want to celebrate today, head to the Memorial Civic Auditorium tonight. If you are in Modesto, the Christian Love Baptist Church has a celebration that is at 10 o'clock. We will make sure to post all of this information on our website, news10.net. But we are just banking on a pretty nice day out here, ladies. It is looking to be pretty nice out here.
Haley, we know that even when it does rain, it doesn't stop everyone from heading out. A couple of years ago, it was pouring and still thousands turned out. So certainly hope that we have the same turnout this year.
Well, organizers are like, we're just keeping our fingers crossed because we know that the marchers are extra happy when at least it stays dry and sunny out here.
Certainly are. Haley, see you again soon. Thank you again. MLK Day, it's a state and federal holiday. Some places that will be closed include all DMV offices, the post office, Sacramento City Hall, and all city offices as well. However, trash collection, at least for Sacramento County and West Sacramento, will still operate for normal pickup. Sacramento Regional Transit will be operating on a holiday schedule with limited service, so be sure to check for any changes ahead of time.
All right, also happening today, this is perfect as you're waking up for your breakfast. All you bacon lovers out there, this week is for you, starting today and running through Sunday. And it's time to go hog wild. Dozens of restaurants will be participating in the bacon-inspired lunches and dinners, and yes, even desserts. How does a bacon gelato sound, Kiva? What do you think about that?
Sounds like a stomach ache.
Probably, but proceeds will go to the Center for Land-Based Learning in Winters. To find out which restaurants are participating in this week's Bacon Fest, just visit baconfestsac.com.
At least it's for a good cause.
Yes.
4:39 is your time. Let's check some headlines from around the state. Governor Jerry Brown and UC President Janet Napolitano will try to work out their differences on tuition increases. The two will ask fellow members of the UC Governing Board to look at ways to save money, help students finish school faster, and determine the role of university research in the state economy. The Board of Regents has approved Napolitano's plan to raise tuition by up to 5% in each of the next 5 years. Napolitano and Brown plan to bring proposals back to the full board in March.
Across America now, and Tuesday's State of the Union address from President Obama could have major implications on your wallet. We learned this weekend of a plan that would basically take from the rich and give to others. So here's the breakdown. A tax credit of up to $500 for any family where both parents work, and this is available to families when their annual income is up to $210,000, so anything below there. Also expanding child care tax credits up to $3,000 per child up to the age of 5, and boost retirement savings by automatically enrolling people in an individual retirement account who don't already have a plan from their workplace. And you may have heard of this one by now. The president is also hoping to offer free community college. But where will all of this money come from? Well, taking from the wealthy to the tune of $320 billion is the plan. With a Republican-controlled House and Senate, the president's proposal is likely to be shot down.
Checking some of your money headlines, markets are closed today for the Martin Luther King holiday, but when trading resumes on tomorrow, investors will be getting a look at earnings from several key players. Morgan Stanley and Johnson & Johnson will report their latest earnings before the bell. That will be tomorrow. And then in the afternoon, you have IBM and Netflix. They will offer their latest results. Other notable earnings due this week: American Express on Wednesday, Travelers on Thursday, and General Electric and McDonald's will report their earnings on Friday.
Well, if you're a 50 Shades of Grey fan, listen up. The movie version of the best-selling novel is hitting theaters Valentine's Day weekend. And at 5:20 this morning, we are going to tell you more about how one company is trying to cash in on the movie, selling a special kind of gift, and it's in the form of a teddy bear, but it's not necessarily child-friendly. So we're going to have that story coming up at 5:20.
Fans of fashion designer Kate Spade may be in for a treat. At 5:40 this morning, we're going to tell you why the major player in the handbag world may be coming to Westville Galleria in Roseville. So we'll have that for you. All right, coming up next on News 10 Mornings at 4:30. Ever wanted to maybe work at Facebook? Well, now is your chance. Ahead, we'll tell you the positions the social networking site is looking to fill.
All right, plus, in addition to an already star-studded cast to perform at this year's Super Bowl, just exactly who will be performing the national anthem at next month's game? We're going to have all the details coming up next.
Checking your tech headlines this morning, Facebook plans to add 1,200 employees this year. Oculus Rift, the virtual reality headset maker that Facebook acquired last year, is one of the key areas slated for growth, with 54 jobs listed at least on its website. The social networking company's efforts to build its own satellites and drones capable of delivering internet service to remote locations is another important area for hiring, with jobs in avionics, radio frequency communications, and also thermal engineering. Turning now to the live section, the cast of the Oscar-nominated film Selma retraces the steps of MLK's historic march. This was half a century ago.
Oh, and another add to an already star-studded cast slated to perform at next month's Super Bowl. Here's ABC's Rena Ninen with the latest in Hollywood.
The cast of the Oscar-nominated film Selma went back to Alabama, retracing the steps of Martin Luther King Jr.'s march across that famous bridge 50 years ago. Oprah Winfrey attended alongside stars David Oyelowo, Common, and singer John Legend.
I feel humbled because I know how much they sacrificed. They did so at the risk of their lives. People died on this bridge.
Legend and Common are nominated for an Oscar for their original song, Glory.
Weakness leaves, pride comes in.
The death of a reality star, Greg Plitt, a former model best known for his roles on Bravo, died after a Metrolink train hit him just north of Los Angeles. It appears Plitt may have been shooting a fitness video at the time. Frozen star Idina Menzel is joining the star-studded roster at the Super Bowl. The singer will perform the national anthem at the big game next month. Menzel is currently starring on Broadway.
I got a military-age male on a cell phone watching the convoy over.
And Clint Eastwood's new film American Sniper breaking box office records. The Oscar-nominated war movie starring Bradley Cooper raking in $90.2 million, making it the biggest January opening ever. That's what's happening in Hollywood. I'm Rena Ninen, ABC News.
4:47 is your time. The fog that we've been dealing with lately isn't creating nearly the headache as the winter storms in the eastern part of the country. The problem over the weekend for them and this morning, black ice. There was a mix of ice and rain across several states yesterday that crippled travel and even ended up deadly in Philadelphia. 3 people were killed after more than 50 cars and trucks slammed into one another. And if any of you guys have experienced that black ice, you can't even see it.
There's just nothing you can do once you hit it. You let off the accelerator, but at that point you're kind of at the mercy of what's beneath you, right?
Your car's out of control. And we are fortunate, Rob, that we're not dealing with any black ice, but the fog for us has also proven deadly these past couple of days.
You know, there's 2 things in the weather world that get me most nervous. One of them is really, really dense fog everywhere, and we saw that a few days ago when unfortunately there was a fatal accident related to that. And then the other thing is black ice, because you have no control, and at freeway speeds, if everyone doesn't have control, bad things can happen. And like you mentioned, luckily we don't have that situation, but we are dealing with some patchy dense fog down in Stockton. CHP has been doing some pacing, and there is one accident near March Lane, which I'll show you right at the end of this forecast here in just a second. As far as the clouds, they're still going to be with us through the morning. It's going to be a mix of gray skies, some drizzle, and some patchy but dense fog. We have one other thing worth talking about. Do you remember the king tides that we had last month? They're back for the next 3 mornings. They're going to happen at the highest tide today, just under 7 feet at 10 o'clock this morning in and around the Bay Area. So that's when you have higher tides than normal. You can get very minor coastal flooding, usually very close to some of the paths that go along the beaches or even some of the coastal waterways. So just heads up for that. That's going to peak at 10 a.m. later on this morning. We have 52 degrees with some drizzle in the Sacramento area. We also have some dense fog in some areas along with some drizzle in Stockton, 48 degrees there. You can see it's a very patchy anywhere you go. We're looking at 3 miles of visibility at the airport in Sacramento, but I can tell you in other spots close to that, it is much less than that. So just plan on some patchy but some dense fog anywhere along your commute, and certainly is possible at least until 10, 11 o'clock this morning. We are going to see a couple other things. First of all, when you take a wider look here, you can see it's just a very moist plume that's moving through the area. Not quite enough to get rain, but certainly enough to produce some drizzle. So I know that's a fine line there, but you may be looking at some wet windshields out there and some slick roads in some spots, but it's not technically rain. We call this drizzle, and it will be with us through the rest of this morning. After that, I think we're going to see some mixed clearing. Maybe some places don't clear out at all. Other places it's going to be just the sun trying to poke through some of those thicker clouds. So maybe you're one of the lucky ones. If you get up above where the inversion typically is, right around 1,000 to 1,500 feet, if you get up above that, you're much more likely to see sunshine. That's where the sun was through the weekend. We are going to see the fog stick around, unfortunately, at least until about 10, 11 o'clock, and then we do see some clearing. That just tells part of the story there. The computer models really love widespread clearing. They've been showing that all the way through the weekend. We certainly know how that panned out. We are going to be looking for another time frame tomorrow where we're going to see some patchy but dense fog, but not necessarily drizzle. And then that's about it, folks. Take a look at this pattern. There's not much to see. Unfortunately, a big monster ridge of high pressure takes hold by the end of this week, and through this weekend, we're pushing 70, 71 degrees in a lot of valley spots, and we absolutely could break some high temperature records through the weekend, maybe even as early as Friday. Tahoe area, I'm bummed out just like you are. This is not the forecast that you want to see. Temperatures close to 50 degrees for the entire week with no chance of snow whatsoever. In and around the Bay Area, we're looking at temperatures upper 50s, low 60s, so it's going to be a cool day with a mix of clouds and some drizzle, but hopefully we get some sun to peek out today. We certainly didn't see it for a lot of spots through the weekend. Another foggy morning tomorrow, and then we're going to see conditions, fog in the morning, sun in the afternoon, and very warm through the weekend. And again, just pointing out that accident, we are seeing some patchy fog in some areas, but the only accident I see of consequence, I-5 northbound near March Lane in Stockton. Back to you.
Thanks, Rob. And regarding that accident in Stockton, it looks like the units there are on their way, a tow truck en route. So hopefully that'll be cleared up here shortly. We wanted to go back out to our live drive crew this morning, and we are, you can see they're approaching Sacramento now. We just got off the Yolo Causeway. Our photographer is driving safely, of course, but you can already see that fog starting to really settle down into the valley. Once again, as Rob mentioned, drive safe out there. This will be the story for the majority of the day. And at this point, it doesn't appear to be causing any major traffic backups, but we will keep you posted if anything changes. And of course, if and when anything changes, you can always download our News 10 traffic app. You are able to actually go through and pinpoint your exact location for weather and traffic, depending on where the roads are at where you live. And so if you want to be updated, be sure to download that now at the Google Store and also on iTunes.
Okay, let's look ahead now. Tomorrow, the city of Stockton may finally be one step closer toward getting its finances in order. Stockton's loan creditor, Franklin Templeton Investments, is seeking millions in unsecured debt the city owes them. They're appealing a ruling from last October that put the city on the hook for only $300,000. The judge is expected to decide whether to delay the reorganization plan pending the outcome of the appeal. If it is denied, Stockton's plan for exiting bankruptcy could become effective sometime next month.
It is 4:52, and also tomorrow there will be special opening ceremonies for Amazon packaging centers in Tracy and Patterson. They will include some of the robots used to help fill customer orders. The company currently has 1,000 robot workers at its more than 3 dozen packaging plants across the United States. The centers broke ground in Tracy and Patterson 2 years ago, creating more than 1,000 jobs. All right, 4:53 now on your Monday morning, and coming up, we're going to be taking a look at the places to fill positions as far as who's hiring.
That's right. We're talking jobs after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to News 10 Mornings. It is Monday morning. It's a holiday.
It is a holiday, so things are slowly moving forward today, but we are talking about some of the jobs that are out there and who's hiring.
We are. Let's do it right now. Wendy's, they are looking for cooks, sandwich makers, food prep workers, and cashiers at their Roseville location. That address for you, 924 Pleasant Grove Road. Now, we told you about this job fair last week, but they're going to be holding another job fair. That's today from 8 to 10 a.m. You can visit any Wendy's location at least to pick up that application, but you're going to have to go to this location in Roseville for that actual job fair. UC Davis Medical Center, they are hiring as well. They are looking for a patient biller. Experience processing payments and claims from insurance companies is required. General accounting knowledge is also a plus. To apply, visit www.ucdmc.ucdavis.edu. And once you get to that website, it's on your screen. That's a lot of information there. Go to Careers tab.
Okay, got it. We're also going to have that information on the website for you coming up later today. And taking a look at our roadways this morning. Okay, again, live drive on the road in Sacramento, and we've been saying this all morning, Rob, fog's the story, and it certainly can be dangerous. Best word of advice from CHP last year, don't be on the road if you don't have to. It's a holiday, maybe you don't need to go out. Also, give yourself a lot of distance between you and the car in front of you. I know sometimes it's tempting to be close to see the headlights and the tail lights from somebody to give you some guiding light.
But you want that reaction time.
Exactly.
It's all about reaction time. And also drizzle, too. You can see it on the windshield there. That's another part of the morning weather story.
So a little wet out there, a little foggy depending on where you are. It wasn't so bad coming in from the north to downtown Sacramento, but I guess if you keep going south, you'll see it.
Right, absolutely, you will.
All right.
Okay, all right, we'll have much more for you coming up next on News 10 at 5. Stay right here, we'll be right back.